r/movies. Zeller_ says, what's your favorite example of an extended metaphor within a movie? Hey, I've been tasked with finding some movies that use extended metaphors, and finding examples of them is turning out to be a little bit harder than I thought. Was wondering if you guys had some movies with extended metaphors you like. Clearly my movie knowledge isn't as good as I thought it was, haha. So _over_it_now says, The Babadook, Grief and Depression. Strawberry Lesh says, also a bisexual icon. I am Original Rose says, what? Didn't know. Don't understand. But, love this journey for all of us. Giraffe says, I know I'm going to be shit on, but I really did dig the allegory of X-Men to being gay. Even with on the nose comments like, have you ever tried not being a mutant? I didn't really start reading about the gay allegory until years later. It flew by most people who saw it fresh in 2000. Nangel says, I don't know why you'd be shit on. There's a ton of academic commentary highlighting the X-Men as a representation of LGBTQ+ themes as well as civil rights. Sure, some of the films and comics are a little too on the nose, still works, though. Iced 327 says, Charles equals MLK, Magneto equals Malcolm X. Honestly, it's not a good thing that our civil rights parables can be interpreted within so many contexts, as it is depressing that we have to keep learning the same lesson over and over. Inglorious Baxter 3 says, Dawn of the Dead is about mindless consumerism. Davish Patel 93101 says, The Blob, 1958, as a metaphor for communism. Reinhold says, I saw that movie multiple times as a kid and obviously never realized that. I'm going to have to rewatch it now. I've heard another one allegedly about communism is the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. One of the creepiest films I've ever seen, psychologically. YCX48 RAC UK59F says, The Body Snatchers was riding just on the hysteria that everybody could become a godless commie spy overnight. Rash_indignation says, just saw Banshees of Inisherin, great allegory for the Irish Civil War. From the Desk of Jaw says, so, I saw the movie, but I don't know Irish history well. Can you explain how the movie relates? Stinky Cheese 182 says, so basically after the War of Independence, which was a war fought by Irish against the British, a treaty was written up. The Party of Ireland's new government split in two because some wanted to agree to the terms of the treaty, and others despised it. Eventually, after a vote, the crowd who wanted the treaty won, but the other side refused to acknowledge the results. Soon war broke out between the two, and in some cases friends and families were torn apart because of differing opinions on the treaty. Once united in the fight against the British, was now a fractured country in a brutal civil war. That's like a very basic Cliff Notes summary, and I probably missed something or simplified it, but that's the gist of it. The effect the Civil War had lasted a long time too, even into today, mostly with the older generations. r/movies. Devil Master King says, my thoughts on the Golden Voyage of Sinbad. What are your thoughts on this film? This was honestly a bit different from Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. It still had the adventure tone, but with more at stake. Felt like there was danger around every corner. I honestly think this was a pretty solid film with pretty good effects, a decent score, some interesting characters, and finally the work of Ray Harryhausen is something that deserves praise. All of his work in this is amazing as always, with my favorites being the Kali statue, the centaur beast and the griffin. Villain was okay, and well, I wish Sinbad had been played by the guy who played him in Seventh Voyage. He's not bad, just doesn't have the same charm. I do like how he tried to use wit to deal with his battles. Final score 6.8. Bootleg Vader says, Tom Baker was a fun villain. I believe it was his role in this movie that helped lead him to become the Fourth Doctor. r/movies. Gaze_celluloid says, Barb Wire might be known for being a vehicle for Pamela Anderson, but it's a surprisingly ambitious sci-fi movie. I know the whole setup was to see Pamela Anderson in a leather suit, but I was surprised by how good the movie was as a whole. The supporting cast is good, they all take it seriously. The mood of the film is dark and broody, the cinematography is shockingly superb. This was not the stinker I was expecting. The irony is that the worst thing about Barb Wire was Barb Wire herself. Anderson can't act, and her lines are just laughably bad. Don't call me babe, cringe. Had it been about another character, this movie would have been a decent sci-fi action film in the same vein as Albert Pine's Cyborg. Says, we rented the movie, and halfway through I remember having a startling realization it was a remake of Casablanca. Designated Guy says, the only thing they were ambitious about in that movie was, hey guys, Pamela Anderson is hot. It's a total waste of celluloid aside from that. True Legadama says, I liked how the movie was treated in Pam Tommy as her hoped breakout role, making Hollywood take her seriously. Now see our name says, the pinball machine is okay. Reasonable Word 6729 says, I think she was the first that I noticed to have a barbed wire tattoo on her upper arm. Was it because of this film? Burgess and Comics says, agreed. I own it, come at me. Master_emergency 517 says, Barb Wire is solid, but the comics were and are better. MG5581 says, me and my best friend saw this in its theatrical run during our teen years, and it was fun. Haven't seen it since. Jim Iax says, I had to have my older brother's GF rent it for me when it came to VHS. Wasn't old enough to rent it myself yet, lol. r/movies. Mickey Fresh says, Possession, 1981. Frick, ed me up in the best way possible. This movie has been on my list forever, and for a long time this has been a very hard movie to see. Shudder just put it on their service, which I believe is the first time it's ever been able to be streamed. I watched it last night, and it has completely consumed every thought I've had for the last 24 hours. It starts out as a fairly familiar story about a couple going through a particularly messy divorce, but as the story develops it becomes clear that there is something else going on beneath the surface. I love horror movies that start out normal and then completely go off the rails, and this fits that bill as well as anything I've ever seen. This ends up being so disturbing and nasty and thought-provoking, I cannot recommend it enough. Sam Neill delivers the most unhinged performance of his career, which is saying something, but Isabella Adjani gives a performance unlike anything I've ever seen. If you're a fan of David Cronenberg or David Lynch, and you can handle a mind, frick, why, gross out fever dream, this movie will rewrite your DNA. Has anyone else seen this? Because I'm desperate to talk about it, and I cannot in good conscience recommend this to anyone I know in real life, because I don't think they'll be able to look me in the eye after watching this. Utopia_flopped says, this movie is so, frick, I'm good. Watching it feels like watching something out of a dream, or from another reality. The performances are so out there and the camera work is totally gonzo. In its slow moments it's mesmerizing, and then when it goes crazy is completely electrifying. Lupin the Ray says, love this film. Love the performances of Neil and Ajani, watching a movie with her tonight actually, Herzog's Nosferatu remake. Love how the genre slowly shifts from drama to psychological horror to body horror to surrealism. Love how crazy it gets. But most of all I love that scene. You know the one. Anyone who's seen the movie knows what I'm talking about. It's so simple, but so disturbing. Worth watching for that scene alone. Unpaid_movie_critic says, yes, this movie resides in my top 5 all time and I know there are a number of other people who absolutely love it. Is a copy that Shudder has the full uncut version or the cut down American version? I streamed it on Metrograph and later purchased the Mondo limited edition box set. It's my prized possession in my physical media collection. The journey the movie takes you on from start to finish is such a thrilling experience. The interpretations are endless. I adore this movie. That's all for this video. Was it good? I know not, for I'm a robot. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. This video is the product of an automated process.